You're listening to the Comic Crusaders Podcast. I am your host, Al Mega, CEO of Comic Crusaders and Undercover Capes. In this show, I'm sitting down with creators from all walks of life to talk about inspiration, process, the lessons they've learned, and a whole lot more. What up, everybody? It's your boy, Al Mega. Welcome to a brand new Comic Crusaders podcast. And today, folks, we got somebody that's really awesome, all the way from across the pond, if you will, from the UK. This man has been killing it for a minute in the game. He is a journalist. He is a writer. He is the EIC of Tripwire UK. I mean, he's putting together cons. He puts together awesome books like this one that I'm gonna ask him about. Hey, yeah, I was teasing him on the green screen, like, yeah, look at this baby that he had his hands all over. Great book. I learned so much on interview tips from that as well. He is a legend. Let me introduce the one, the only, Joel Meadows. What's popping, kiddo? How you doing?
Hey, Al, how's it going? I'm very good, thanks. Hope your listeners are well.
Yeah, but I'm sure we're doing all well, man. We're about to pick the brain of a man that, look, you've been running, in Tripwire. This magazine been out for 30 years, son?
Yeah, that's right.
Pop culture, I mean, news, that is so crazy. And you're the EIC, and you obviously have amazing contributions. I mean, I got my hands on this amazing interviews that you conducted with legends. I'm so jealous. Like, oh my God, the people you've spoken to, salute to you. So let's get down to it, Joe.
Okay.
Before we need to know the roots of that nerdiness and how you achieve these goals to talk to people and be in the game for so long and endure the way you have, producing quality content, which is amazing. So, salute to you, kiddo. You know what I mean? So let's get down to it. Where you OG from? Were you born and raised?
I was born and raised in London, which is where I still live. So I've always lived in North London since I was born.
So you never left?
No. I mean, I've moved around, but only in London. I've never left. I've never lived anywhere else.
Okay, so always in the London area, not outside.
Yes, exactly.
Okay. So how was it growing up in London as a young chap?
Yeah, it was fun. There we had cool things. We had comic shops. When I was a kid, we had comic marts. We had the Westminster Comic Mart. When I was a kid, we had things like Forbidden Planet, Comic Showcase, Gosh, which is still there. We had some great comic shops. We had access to American comics, but I was very lucky because, the previous generation had to go to news agents. It was a lot harder to get hold of American comics. But
I've heard the horror stories. You get the Marvel comics that have basically 4 pages of one issue per kind of anthology style, because that's how y'all rock.
Yeah, so I was lucky. I was very lucky.
You are. So who got you into this whole madness? Was it self-discovery, or was it someone in your family or friends?
It was comics was my brother's fault, because he was the guy that read comics first. He was a Marvel reader. He'd read things like Spider-Man and Avengers. And he got me into Howard the Duck when I was about 8 or 9.
Oh, man.
Quite weird. I was quite little. I was about 9 or 10, I think, when I first read it. Bro, it blew me away.
Me too. I was around this bro. Joe, high effing 5.
Exactly.
Yeah, I was around that.
Yeah, I mean, it was completely my brother's fault. He had a friend who was stuck in hospital who got into comics, and he got him into comics. And then, my brother got me into them, and I started going to comic marts when I was little. And I just started to read comics. I read DC Comics Presents, Superman, Action Comics, New Teen Titans. Obviously, sadly, George Perez died, like a month or so ago. And, Teen Titans, one of the very first US comics I ever read as a kid. And I was just blown away. And they're still amazing. I still look at those things. I've got the trade paperbacks. I still read them. And I still think they're incredible. I still think they're amazing. There's so much fun. And there's so much energy there.
Yeah, and it's still a lot of the storylines still resonate today. It makes sense. I mean, maybe the costume's a little dated, but you could get past that story-wise. It's beautiful. And again, it's beautiful art. So
exactly. And they still hold up well. I mean, that they wanted to do this because they wanted to kind of beat Marvel at their own game. So that they got Wolfman and Perez to do like a Marvel-style book, basically at DC, and it worked so well. I still remember, X-Men Teen Titans by, I guess it was Wolfman and Simonson and Terry Austin. It was incredible.
Yeah.
Or it might have been Claremont, so apologies if it was. My God.
Yeah,
I think it might be, but it's still an amazing crossover.
Legendary.
It was such fun, and I still have such soft spot. I still have such fondness, for those comics, even now, even years later.
So I gotta ask, because since you're obviously a collector, were you able to retain anything special? Do you have any gems in your collection?
Well, unfortunately, over the years, I've sold things. I know it's a familiar story. Like I sold things for far less than they should be worth. Like I had a set of the O'Neill and Adams Green Lanterns. They weren't in amazing shape, but I had them. And they probably about over 20 years ago, I think I sold them, and I got, if I'd hung on to them now, they would have been worth a bit more. So I've had a few. I haven't had anything super valuable, but so unfortunately, I haven't managed to keep the stuff. But I've still got the reprints. I've become less of a collector. I still love the material, but I'm quite happy to have it in like a hardback or a trade paperback, because at least it's all about the story and it's about the material. For me.
Oh, and look at this. This is some. Hey, what up, Cliff? He says he complains that so few comics in the U.S. carry British comics. He's an American reader, but he wants, and it's true. It's like, Judge Dredd, huge in the UK. In the States, he's popular, but not, not like, as he should be.
Exactly.
Exactly.
But I mean, we read a lot of similar stuff to the US readers. 2000 AD is still popular. There's a couple of indie comics. There's a magazine called Shift, which is an anthology which goes into the UK newsstand, and there's a magazine called The 77, which is an indie anthology of basically people who used to love 2000 AD. So they're kind of like sci-fi anthologies. They're very cool books.
Really?
These are grassroots titles that people have started. I mean, the 77 started in February 2020, which, as you know, it must be the worst time in living history to launch like a new comic or a new comic magazine. So, fair play to them. And they keep going. I saw them at this Lawless event about 2 weeks ago, and they're going from strength to strength. So, yeah. I mean, we're still, Brits still read, US comics. They still read your Batmans and your X-Men's, but there are a few things that are UK specific.
Yeah, and listen, people are starting to finally get put onto Black Beth.
Yes, exactly.
It's old, but it's like, this is so dope. I'm happy. There's a lot of I mean, all over the world, there's so much great content, and I'm happy that I mean, that the US has stopped snubbing their noses, at stuff that's outside. I mean, it's the outside stuff.
Yes.
No disrespect to my American creators, but it's like,
of course,
the outside stuff is just so kick ass. My God, beyond imagination.
Yes.
So talk about your creative steps then, because here you're actually finding a tribe. How did you find your tribe then? How easy was it to find a tribe?
Well, I guess I just started going to comic marts. As I said, when I was a kid, you had the Westminster Comic Mart, which used to happen on I guess it was once a month on a Saturday at this place called the Central Hall, which is this crazy. It was built as a Methodist hall, I think in about 1912. So it's this big hall with this round dome. And I met people there, people like Gaiman used to come to that, and Dave Gibbons, and a lot of I think Alan Moore used to go to that as well. A lot of big British comic creators used to go to this show. So there was Westminster, there was the Camden Comic Mart, which used to have a show like once a month, and then there was the TUC, and then there was the one which still exists, which is the Royal National, which is at this hotel near Russell Square Tube. I mean, that still exists. All the others are gone. So I got to meet people. I got to visit these things. There was UCAC, which was it ran from 84, I think, to 97. It ran for 13 years. It was a UK comic convention. They had everybody there. You had people like Bob Kanigher. I think Kirby was there 1 year. Well, I was never there for that, unfortunately. You had everybody. You had Howard Chaykin. You had a lot of good British talent. And it was fun. It was in this university, again, near Russell Square, this place called the Institute of Education. And you had everybody. And, as a kid, it was amazing to sit and listen and watch these people talk, panels. And you had lots of British talent like John Wagner and Alan Grant.
Oh, my God. Look at the names he's dropping. Pollard. Let me get a broom, folks. Geez, I got to sweep up these names. Wow.
So, yes, that's how I got into it. And I got friendly with fellow, fans of comics. And it just snowballed, and it grew from there. And, we started the magazine as a fanzine in 92. I don't have copies around, but it was a basic. We did it as a basic, like an A4 staple fanzine. It was incredibly basic. Had like a blue cover, had like a Lobo cover, because basically we did it as a very simple fanzine. Okay. And then we just grew it. There was a show called the Alexandra Palace Comic Convention put on by Fred Greenberg, which was a commercial disaster, because there's no tube station near Alexandra Palace, and there was an IRA bomb threat on the day. There were people like Jim Lee there, and but they wanted to build up this, big show, and it only did one because it was a disaster. But I got to meet Pete Milligan, who lives not that far from me, around about then in '92, and we did our first issue, and that was also the weekend that Vertigo launched. There was the Vertigo launch in a restaurant in Covent Garden in London. This was the last weekend in February 1992, and that's when our magazine launched. So,
look at you! Wow, hustling.
So that's how it built up, and it just snowballed. So, we
what made you want to do a magazine, though? But what made you want to? What made you want to do a magazine? Did you feel, was there something missing in the market you felt?
Well, kind of. I mean, I had my ex-neighbor Simon. He wanted to do a magazine that had comics and music at the time. We dropped the music after a few years, but there was Comics International, but there wasn't much else. I mean, I used to love. There was a magazine called Speakeasy. It was published in the 1980s that Grant Morrison used to do columns for, and also loads of other big names, people like Warren Ellis and Mark Miller, and loads of big names. And I always liked that because it was really irreverent, And I used to read things like Enemy and Melody Maker when I was in my teens, and I thought it'd be nice to try and replicate that in a way, in a British comic magazine. Also trying to cover content that other places weren't covering. Because Vertigo was just starting, so we had a lot of British creators on our doorstep. So we thought it'd be nice to cover their content and to cover their careers, and to interview kind of writers and artists who were British. I mean, what I thought was amazing, when I was 20, the idea of a British comic writer who lived in Muswell Hill, which was like 15 minutes from home, writing for American comics. I found that fascinating, and it was very different because as a kid, comics are all about New York, and they were about Spider-Man, and they were about Stan Lee, and they were about Roy Thomas and all these American creators doing these things. I remember when I was a kid. I remember when I used to go to New York a lot as a kid, but I remember things like the Steam coming up, that classic New York street scene. I used to love stuff like that, but
it's a real scene. I'll tell you
the
that.
idea of a British creator, writing for American comics, I thought was incredible. It blew my mind. When I was 20. I thought that was amazing, to be honest.
Okay, the homie here, he doesn't like powered characters. He prefers unpowered ones. Not a fan of any of the powered Captain Britons. I do like the original.
Captain Britain it was a pretty important run. I thought there was. I was talking to a friend of mine about this the other day, and the stuff that Jamie Delano and Alan Moore did, and Alan Davis. I think it was important because it was, even though it was a superhero comic, I think it was a superhero comic with a very kind of British slant, because he was originally designed as not a great. Let's be honest. We first introduced, in the American titles, he wasn't a particularly good character, but Delano and Moore took him, and Davis, and they really turned him into something I think really interesting as a character.
What do you feel about Union and Union Jack? And do you agree that if they do a TV show, it would be a TV show, if done right?
Yeah, I mean, why not? I mean, it certainly could work as long as it was set over here, had that kind of British sensibility. Then why not?
I mean, he does look cool.
He's got a cool costume. Definitely.
What's him and the first Captain Britain? The one,
sorry,
I like the first
classic Captain Britain.
Yeah, with the lines on it. Yeah,
that was a cool costume. There's no question.
I love that one. Not shitting on Braddock suit.
No, of course not.
But that OG, it's just, I don't know. It was so unique.
Yeah, no, it was a very well designed costume, to be honest.
And this one is very nice too. It's kind of like
Very
more Captain Britain, if I will, because of the way it looks.
It's a great character. It is a good character when it's done well. I think he's a really good character.
So, talk about stepping into the journey. So you're right. When did you start taking this serious? Like, you wanted to get involved and really, partake in the industry.
I don't know. I mean, I guess I just sort of fell into it. The magazine started, as I said, as a very basic fanzine, and it just kind of developed, and I just kind of got into it. I went to more and more comic shows. Okay. I mean, the very first American comic show I went to wasn't until '99, and that was San Diego, and it was much smaller then.
Wow,
than it has been the last 10 years. Wow. So I went, and it was tiny compared to now. Now it's just insane. But it was downtown. And then, like 2000, I went to the first proper US show, and again, it was incredible. All these American comic creators in this, massive venue. It was amazing, and it just built up from there. So I went to San Diego, I went to New York. I went to the first New York in 2006. The first Read New York show.
Yes, I
went
there.
to Pittsburgh, I think in 2004, and I got to meet people like Bendis in like the early, let me think, in about 99 or 2000.
Oh, wow.
When he was kind of just getting big.
Yeah.
So meeting people like that, which was just fascinating, and then just seeing that develop, and just getting friendly with people.
And you went,
and it snowballed, I guess, from there.
And you were going, because you have a magazine under a press, or you were going.
Yeah, well, it became presses. I think
Okay.
I did go as press to, from the start. I mean, the magazine wasn't huge. I mean, we distributed through Diamond from, I think the first Diamond issue we did was quite early. I think it was like 90. Let me get this right, 98 or 98, I think it was, or something like that. We had like a death cover, so it was round about then. And I think we did go as press. And again, it just kind of snowballed, from there. And the magazine got more and more sophisticated. As the years progressed, we had like a single color cover, then a full color magazine, and we increased the page counts, and we got to do more and more with stuff. We went through a few different designers.
How did you learn to do that, though? I mean, did you guys know what to do, or was it you guys just
I guess I just picked it up. I picked up the skills. I taught myself Quark Express, which now is this ancient program that people used to put magazines and newspapers together, and then I switched to InDesign in 2003. And basically, that's what everyone uses now, because you can use InDesign with Photoshop. Yeah. And I taught myself how to use those things. So, now, let me just go and get the latest issue of the mag, if you forgive me. I'm going to just go and grab just to show you. I wish I could find the really old ones, but they're kind of disappeared in a box somewhere. But this is,
so long as you have them.
So this is 148 pages. We put this out in November of last year. Let me just see if I can do this. If I can flip, I'm not sure if I can flip the camera. I'm trying to work out how to flip. If I just hold it up, no, that doesn't work. I'm just trying to see if I can. So I'll have to. I don't know. But anyway, this is like a big 148-page full color magazine.
Yeah. If you have the double camera, just tap the camera angle and it'll flip to.
Can I tilt it? If I tilt it, will it?
No, it's gonna just show you. Yeah, if you tilt it, I have a sideways view. But if
then maybe you get like a full. No, it doesn't. It's not letting me.
You have to flip the.
Maybe it's the lock. How do I take the lock off? You've got like the camera lock.
For me,
on the phone, I've got an iPhone. There's like a camera lock.
Guess what? I have Android. This is why.
Don't worry. I'm just trying to see. I thought I'd be able to do this.
Unless you want to hold it up, so me to.
Well, I'm trying to hold it up, but it's not. For some reason, it's kind of. Wait a minute. Something's happening. There we go. Yeah, I'll have to do it kind of backwards. But I mean, that's our fantastic full cover that we commissioned.
Oh, so cover your face almost, and then I'll.
No, it's. I haven't got. Let me just. If I move it over, there we go.
There you go. Ooh.
So you can see, it was like a tribute to like a late '60s Fantastic Four. It's not. I'm not doing this brilliantly, but wait a minute. I've turned around. Let me see if I can actually do something with this. But no. So so we've really, we've got really a lot more sophisticated. That we used to. I can't. I'm sorry. I give up. Sorry. It's not working. But
It's technology, folks. It's phones. This is what it is. But we know it's a beautiful magazine. Well, you know what? If you have a link, send it to me in the private chat, and I could bring.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I can do that.
So that way people can see this beautiful cover. 148 pages. But what
it's
is
a
it?
monster.
Vogue?
We did 2 covers as well.
The Vogue of comics.
Yeah. Well, actually, what's funny is that when towards the end, when Wizard was wrapping up, they hired a designer who used to work for Vogue, because we did 3 issues in full color in 2003, and I was told that they hired this guy to try and look a little bit like us.
Whoa!
Kind of towards the end of Wizard's life as a magazine, which I thought was quite funny, because we've never been a huge selling magazine, but Wizard obviously felt that they wanted to compete with us, which I thought was interesting.
Of course, because they figure let us try to be better at least than someone else. But guess what, guys?
Yes.
You guys ruined it. By just getting greedy.
Exactly.
I have the first issue still. I still have my very first Wizard. Yeah. I love that. It's one of my treasures. Because again, it was something that we didn't have back then. When it came out, everybody was so excited. A price guide,
yes.
Interviews, all that good stuff. It was fun. So talk about that journey though. What happened with that mag, and what is Tripwire, and how did that even come into play?
Well, I guess we took a break from 2003 to 2007 because we were finding it I don't know, the market changed. So we kind of took a break, and I did a lot of freelance sort of journalism. So you're talking about the journalism side of things. So I really built that up. And then we came back with what we called our annual. So we do it once a year. There were like 100 odd pages. We covered things like, you probably remember the TV show Heroes, you know, the Tim Crane thing. Yeah. So we did a set visit for that. And, you know, we talked to like Tim Sale, but this was like a glossy full color magazine. So these were 100 and something. They went, I think, they were about 120 pages. Ooh. So we did one of those each year until from 2007 to 2013 or 2011. And then the market kind of changed again, and that got really tricky. So we did an anniversary book, and then we took a bit of a break, and we switched to the web, and then we came back in print. Basically, the first print mag, The Return, came out in December of 2020. December 2020. COVID pushed it back like 6 or 7 months. So we did that, and we were so pleased with it that we decided to do another one. So the one I just showed everyone with the Fantastic Four cover came out in November of last year. And we're working on another print mag, which will be out sort of September, October this year, which is slightly shorter. It's only 96 pages because we're working on our 30th anniversary book, which is kind of a monster. 224 pages. So
you hear this? And what is Tripwire? Why that name? What's Tripwire?
Okay, we picked the name because we wanted to have a name which was kind of abstract and dynamic, and it didn't have the word comics in it. We wanted something that people would remember, that kind of reflected the attitude of the magazine. We were very kind of snarky when we started, and we used to upset some of the people we interviewed, but we did soften. You know, I was only a kid. I was only 19 when this started. So, you know, it was I was pretty young, so I didn't even know what I was doing. So we used to put things in that maybe we shouldn't have done, but we found our feet. We changed it. We turned like a proper magazine, but it took a little while for us to do that.
So interviews from this book that you wrote.
Yes.
Are these interviews from the magazine or what? I mean, like,
they were done specifically for that book. Have you seen the Studio Space book as well from 2008? Have you seen that book?
That one. No, I mean, look at this book though.
That was the other book. I can't get it on the camera, but in 2008 we did a book called Studio Space. The Image published, that had introduction by Guillermo del Toro, forward by Michael Moorcock, and had Joe Kubert.
Did you get to meet Guillermo?
Sorry, it's called Studio Space.
No. Did you get to meet Guillermo though?
I have met him. I've interviewed him. I've met him 2 or 3 times.
Oh, I gotta get him. Oh, I'm jealous. Look at you.
He's difficult to pin down these days. This was a few years ago. So we had people like Walt Simonson, Sergio Toppi, Steve Dillon. This is the first book. We had Brian Talbot, Jim Lee, Frank Miller. We had an amazing lineup of 20 different artists for the first one. And then it took 11 years to get out the one that you just pulled out. So these were interviews.
11 years after that?
Yeah, 11 years. Whoa. The first one was 2008. As I said, it's called Studio Space. You can find it online. It's published by Image. And it came out, as I said, back in 2008. There was a paperback and a hardback. And we had some really cool people in there. We had Walt Simonson, who was in both books. But we also had, as I said, we had Joe Kubert, we had Jim Lee, we had Brian Bolland, we had Dave Gibbons, we had Sean Phillips, Tim Bradstreet, we had everybody. Tommy Edwards, George Pratt. We had an amazing lineup.
Were you speaking to any of those individuals for the first time ever?
Some of them. Kubert I'd never really met. I met him at a show, I think. I got the train times wrong, so I missed his first interview. So I had to rearrange it. He was very, very nice about it. But a lot of these, Miller, I talked to a little bit, not tons before. Yeah. I got to go. I went to his studio. I did the interview in this pub called the Ginger Man in Hell's Kitchen in 2005, which was amazing. We got very, very drunk, and I interviewed him.
Listen, the best interviews happen at pubs.
I was away for like 3 weeks.
Can you tell
2005, me? For the other book. But this was also an amazing book.
But I gotta ask,
the comic book was very cool.
Did any of these interviews happen at a pub as well?
No. Well, Walt Simonson was done in his house. Mike Kalusas was done in. I think we had lunch, and I went to his studio. So sadly, none of those others were done in the pub. But I mean, we did Adam Hughes in the first book as well, and that was done in this weird. It was a Chinese takeaway. It was a buffet Chinese takeaway place in Atlantic, and I stayed miles from his studio. So that was. You should try and track down the first book, and if you haven't,
I will.
I have a hardback. I might be able to. We could talk about that. I might be able to get a copy to you.
Oh no! Listen, I gotta get, because I really love this.
As I said, it's called Studio Space. The design's a bit more primitive, but it was a very cool book, and there's some amazing stuff in there. And Howard Chaykin's in there as well. I mean, there's amazing.
I gotta ask, Joe, like, who inspired your interview style? You know, where did you get that energy in your questions? Like, what space did you get into? I mean,
I
did
just
you do
kind of
any
got used
research?
to
Do
it.
you
I
have
mean,
heroes? I mean,
I mean, the first interview I did was with Alan Grant when I was at
what?
college
Your
in
first?
1989 at this YMCA place in London, and I was
What?
only about 16 or something. I was at sixth form college, and I interviewed him about his detective comic stuff. And I don't know. I mean, the one thing I don't do is I don't write down my questions. I have them all,
Me neither.
I have them all in my head, so that way it can be more of a conversation. So if I'm interviewing somebody, because otherwise, that it basically feels a bit too. I want it to be. I want it to flow. I want it to feel. I
Yes,
want the subject to feel relaxed and for it to be kind of a casual chat.
absolutely.
And so I think it worked. I mean, Miller said he was impressed that I didn't write down any of my questions, so I do a little bit of mental prep. But I'm lucky because a lot of the people I interviewed, like Simonson, I got to stay with him in 2014. He put me up over New York Comic Con, which was amazing. And like I walked their dog with them and all this other stuff like Bendis. I stayed with Bendis after San Diego in 2000 in Portland. So I stayed with him for 3 or 4 nights.
What?
So that's
Where?
the nice thing about this is you build up a rapport with these people. So you do the interview, but you already kind of know them. So they're
Yeah,
at their they have ease. They're at their ease, when you're interviewing them, which
yeah.
is a big help. So I guess I like to have kind of a relaxed style if I'm interviewing people. I like to try and ask people questions other people don't. Like I'm doing another Frank Miller interview for our anniversary book, and I
Oh,
want him to
dope.
talk about 30 years of the industry and how the industry's changed and how he feels about how the industry's changed, and talk to
You're
him
gonna,
about his like his Hollywood lifestyle, if you like,
yeah.
and talk to him about all the cool stuff he's done. And as I said, just try and get different things out of people, so they're asked questions that they're not asked a million times, by other people. I want to get something a little bit more interesting out of the subject if I can.
I will say, Joe, I think that asking someone that's been in the industry for a long time that question of, well, how do you feel about it now? Oh my God, is like that's the most triggering question for a
Well,
lot
I'm
of
going to be a little bit.
of the old
I have to be a little
schoolers.
bit careful with
Yeah,
some of the Frank Miller stuff. But you have to kind of respect the subject.
of
If
course.
you're talking to them, you want to get some interesting answers, but obviously not at the expense of, you want to treat basically that. For me, an interview is a conversation,
It
with
is.
the subject, and I want them to feel comfortable. I want whoever I talk
Absolutely.
to, I want them to feel like they're comfortable, like they're happy to talk to me about the things I ask them about, and they don't feel like they're kind of on edge
Or
or
being
like it's
attacked.
adversarial. And I don't
Yeah.
want to do any. I'm not. I'm not interested. That's not how I work.
I love it, man. See, that's real. That's the way you do it. Because again, that's how I do it too. It's just show
Yeah,
love to the
exactly. Just
creators,
a
be
chat. Have a chat with these people.
enthusiastic. I tell them like this, Joe. I always tell everybody. I approach them as if they were at a convention table when no one's around. So I said,
Exactly.
okay,
Yes.
let me take this time. Just say, hey, how you doing?
You got
You
20
know?
minutes just to
Yeah,
chat.
yeah. Just to chat, just to bullshit. Like
Yeah.
I
No.
love that.
Exactly. That's it.
So, bro, what made you get even more serious though? Like again, you wrote that book, you did this
Okay.
book, you've done
Yes.
other stuff.
Exactly.
So when did that happen? How did that happen? When did you decide to like even go beyond magazines, if you
Oh, do
will?
you mean the first book, the one I talked about from
The
2008?
yeah. When you
Well, I
started,
mean,
yeah.
I guess it's just we had a feature in the short-lived color magazine called Studio Space, where we interviewed a guy called Phil Hale, who's an American painter who lives over here. We interviewed Tim Bradstreet and John Bolton. So we wanted to talk about how they run their studios, and
So,
it's something that's always fascinated me because they have different ways. Like some guys have a studio which is in their bedroom in their house, and
yeah.
then other guys have like a big shed in their garden. They're all very different. Some guys have got an amazing, like Bradstreet has a studio with like a human skeleton in it, and like
Oh,
Mike
what?
Toulouse has got these amazing
Damn.
things. He's got like bits of aircraft in it, and
What?
it's incredible. So each studio is different, and the thing about people's studios is it reflects their personality, and it
Okay.
also stuff's in there to make them feel comfortable. So if they're going to spend most of their life or hours at a time each day, in this space, they want it to be a space that they love,
Yeah. Close
surrounded
to
by
the
the shit that they
things
love,
close
whether
to
it's
your heart.
toys or
Yeah.
books or,
Yeah.
like certain people are obsessed with things which kind of reinforce and make them feel comfortable when they're drawing. So it's just, there's no hard and fast rule here. It's not like everyone has the same studio. Some guys like Frank Quitely, who was in that book there, he's now working from home. But at that point, he was sharing a studio space with 3 other people, and it was
Oh,
quite a small room. But I mean, the guy's a genius because he can do this amazing work with literally just like a Cintiq, so a small tablet, and basically, you know, and he's incredible. Whereas other people need like a huge space. You know, like Walt Simonson has this amazing library going back, you know, decades in his house, and he's got everything. You know, as I said, it suits the particular artist, whatever they feel comfortable working in. You know, Tommy Edwards has like a shed he goes out to, so it's like he's going out to work. Whereas other guys like Roger Langridge, you know, he's a Kiwi, but he's been British based for decades. He's like the top of his house.
So, Austin Sauce Radio says, so according to your theory, I need to put a stripper pole in my studio. I love you guys.
Probably.
And that's what he's into and makes him happy. You've
probably seen those amazing photos. I think it was Hal Foster or somebody that had like these gorgeous women posing for him, you know, in his studio, and he had like a Hollywood lifestyle, but you know, whatever works. But you know, as I said, it's fascinating. All these people have different obsessions. You know, like Joe Kubert, his studio was in his school. So he'd have like an office. You'd go into the school and you'd go into his office and you'd have, you know, a few reference things, but it was quite neat. Whereas other guys, you know, their studio spaces are chaotic. They're filled with crap.
So I gotta ask you, it doesn't matter
because they can work with it. It's
what's
as
your
I said,
studio?
It's whatever suits them.
What's your studio like then? Where is your studio?
It's got too many books. Seriously, it's got so many books. I wonder if I can. If
you just move the phone around,
I'm going to see if I can kind of.
Let's see.
Can you see that?
Oh, damn! You got piles, bro.
Oh, this is nothing. Dude, I mean, this is literally, and I've got stuff in my lounge. Let me see if I can show. Can I show what's in the lounge? Can you see?
Oh, yes, I see the bookshelf on the corner.
And I've got an alcove with loads of books as well. So I've got so much stuff. I've got loads of these artist editions and loads of hardbacks.
I hope you own that house that you don't want to move anymore.
It's got a lot of stuff in there. It's pretty crowded, but I've got a lot of really nifty stuff in here. You know, I'm very pleased. A lot of really cool stuff. So yeah, it's a bit of a mess, but I've got a Mac set up. I have a workspace in like a second bedroom where I work, which works out pretty nicely.
There you go, man. So how important is it to you to have a personal space though for your creativity?
Well, I do like having a space. I mean, I've gone back to this Sherlock Holmes comic strip, we've done two shorts, and then we're doing a third one, which is running in the book, which is going to debut. So it's nice to have a space where I can just work kind of away from stuff. So yeah, it's important. I mean, it's got too much crap, loads of kind of stuff gathering dust, I admit. But I do quite like, you know, it's got all these cool books I'm surrounded by. Like I'm looking at my shelves, so I've got this huge 2-volume hardback Don Martin book, which I won with like an Amazon voucher, which is incredible. You know, Don Martin from Mad. It's like a giant hardcover. And there's a guy called Jeremy Mann who's a painter. So I've got his big 2-volume hardcover. And I've got other stuff, like I've got the 2 Darwin Cook Parker books, one of which I bought, one of which I managed to get sent for review. So I've got so much cool stuff in this room that it's nice just to have it around. And occasionally I sit and just kind of look at stuff, because I do a bit of photography as well. So I admit I have some photography books in the flat as well, which I quite enjoy looking at to get a little bit of inspiration.
Man, folks. You see this? The guy does it all. I gotta ask you, what is this?
Oh, that's our poster for our Bristol comic show. So that was basically it's a pastiche of Once Upon a Time in the West, the Sergio Leone Western, which basically had 4 figures. I think there were the 3 gunslingers and then the female character. So basically that is Sean Phillips's pastiche, which we commissioned him to do, basically, which was a show poster for our show, which is, you know, taking place in September of this year.
Hey, September. Oh my God. So talk about this show. How did this come about? How old is the show? Why are you doing this? I mean, and how hard is it to work on a physical show like this?
Shows are very, very tough. So I admit we might be looking at kind of we might be revamping the show possibly a little bit. We're looking to see over the kind of next month to kind of see what happens. But we're involved with the 2 Portsmouth shows as consultants, so we thought we'd have a go at doing a show on our own. And Bristol used to have a comic show for like 13 or 14 years, so we thought it made sense as a city, you know, to put on a show. I mean, it is very hard work. It's tough.
I ask?
You know, I mean, the last 2 years, because of things like, obviously you had COVID and now you've got kind of a few kind of, you know, there's chaos with the flights, and now you've got the war in Ukraine, and, you know, prices going up, you know, living expenses. So it is a challenge, and you have to juggle all these different things and deal with all these different comic creators in different companies and things. So it's a challenging thing to put on.
So I gotta ask you, as an American, how far is Portsmouth from Bristol then?
Oh, Bristol is 100 miles from London. But there's a train or there's a motorway, the M4, which you can get in the car, and it goes all the way. And you can fly in, actually. I think New York has flights to Bristol direct. So it's not too bad. It's quite a big city. I think it's like the third or fourth biggest city in the country. And I think it has a population of about over 300,000 people. So it's a decent sized city.
Can you tease, of any possible guests that you have, or are you still lining those up?
Well, I mean, we've got Jimmy Palmiotti and Amanda Connor.
I called them Jay-Z and Beyonce. Amanda, obviously. Yeah, I called them the Jay-Z and Beyonce of comedy.
They're fantastic. They're a fantastic couple. They're great. So you got them. You got Brian Stelfreeze, and then on the British front, I said we got Jorge Fornes, who did Rorschach. He's doing Danger Street for DC. He's done Batman. On the British front, we got Sean Phillips, Jock, Mike Collins, Shaky Kane, David Lloyd. We got a pretty good lineup. Lee Garbett. We got a pretty cool lineup of people.
What? Oh my God, I'm jealous. I wish I was out there, man.
So we've got a good lineup of people.
And I got more questions too. Can you send me this art?
And that's the Sherlock Holmes, right? That's the strip. That's basically it's like an alternate world Sherlock Holmes. This is the strip that I was talking about, which Andy Bennett has drawn. He's a great artist. Very talented.
Look at that.
So basically, it's like a alternate world Sherlock Holmes. So basically, Holmes loses the house in Baker Street, and Watson leaves him, and he goes to unravel the DNA helix was basically unraveled by Crick and Watson, but in this world, it's Crick and James Watson, and Oswald Mosley, who was this kind of far right. He's a far right kind of like, well, he wasn't like a British Hitler, but he's a little bit like that. He creates like an army of super soldiers, and then you got Holmes. So it's like a sci-fi steampunk epic, I guess you could call it.
I love it because here you go with the tip of the hat too, the work of.
Well, yeah, of course, exactly. So that's fun. So I've written a third short, which is running in the anniversary book, which is going to be out, September, October this year. So that's been fun. It's been fun, something different. I first used. I haven't touched this in like 20 years. And I went back to it, and I've really enjoyed, writing it. It's been a lot of fun.
Crazy.
And that's Jock. That's a Jock piece for our 30th anniversary book.
What?
Which is a Batman cover, which was not used for Batman Black and White, which is an amazing piece.
Why wouldn't they use it?
I don't know. It's nuts, isn't it? It's a beautiful piece.
Are we gonna get a poster as well from you guys that we could purchase of this?
Oh, what? Sorry.
A poster? Are we going to get a poster that we can
well, we are going to do a Zoop campaign, so there will be some of these pieces will be available as prints. So basically, there'll be a crowdfunding campaign launching. Fingers crossed, probably the end of this month or the beginning of July. Excellent. So there's a Jock piece, there's a Drew Struzan and Indiana Jones piece, which is not an original, but it's still a really nice. So that's a Sean Marston, but it's fabulously. It's a really nice piece.
Yeah,
I think it might have been for King of Thieves. I'm not sure what it's for, but it's a really nice. So we got that. I think there's gonna be a Frank Miller piece as well. We're getting a Walt Simonson Star Slammers piece, which is exclusive for the book. It's gonna be an amazing book. It's gonna be huge. It's gonna have interviews, gonna have features. There's gonna be lots of cool art like this in there. And we've got intro by talking of Jimmy Palmiotti. He's writing our introduction for that book.
Damn, really? Look at you.
And it's gonna be Frank Miller. There's gonna be a brand new Frank Miller interview. The one I just mentioned is going to be talking about 30 years of comics and 30 years of the industry with Frank Miller.
Get ready for that.
So it's going to be a monster book. And then this is a guy I know called Dan. God, my brain's not working. He's a really good artist.
Dan Schaefer and Amy Lou Allen.
So he's a British artist. So there's like 25 to 30 pieces of art.
Wow.
His name is Dan Schaffer. Sorry, it's been a long day. Yeah. But basically, we got some amazing stuff. We got a Lee Garbett piece as well from Skybound. That's just a cover without the logo, and we might even have a Frank Quitely piece possibly, and we might have Simon Davis. It's going to be an amazing book. It's going to be all these beautiful pieces of art.
So when can I get my hands on this, Joel? You'll
be able to get your hands on. There'll be a limited hardback as part of the Zoop campaign, and then the regular paperback is going to be published by Heavy Metal, which will be launching at New York. Yes,
Heavy Metal
publishing the paperback. Yes.
Bro, wait.
Which is going to be very, very cool. So
what the hell?
Yeah, so we're just finalizing some stuff with that. and there's going to be all this cool shit. New York, there's going to be Society of Illustrators event with Walt Simonson, Bill Sienkiewicz, and possibly Frank Miller. That's not definite. And there might be a Midtown Comics signing. There might be some panels at New York. There's all this stuff. So
you're going to New York?
Yeah, and are you going to be at New York Comic Con? Will you be there?
Damn, Joel, you are like tempting the shit out of me because obviously I get
it. I hope you can. Well, if you can make it,
are you going to have a press panel as well to talk about
I've already got I have my press pass sorted for that show. So yes, of course.
I mean, are you going to have a panel though, a press panel?
I hope so. Yes,
because it's 30 years, bro,
about the book at the show, hopefully as well. Yes.
Oh my God, I think it would be so.
There's
powerful.
So much stuff happening at New York in October.
But how do you feel about this, Joel? I mean,
it feels quite strange.
30 years,
unreal.
Man.
I mean, the Society of Illustrators, we did a talk there in 2019. You know, the Masters of Comics book that you showed. We did a talk there with Walt Simonson, Bill Sienkiewicz, Dave Johnson, Dan Panosian, and Yuko Shimizu, and it was sold out. And you had people like Dave Elliott in there, and Jimmy and Amanda were in the audience, and it was fantastic. And it felt quite unreal actually, but it was amazing.
I love how you bring up Dave Elliott because you know that Dave Elliott is my boy, and we do international.
I know you guys. I know you guys are friends. I know that.
Yeah,
I've known him for years, to be honest.
He's a legend, and every episode that we do, when he says, "Well, when I was in Kirby's house, when I was chilling with Stanley."
I know he's had quite a life. He has quite a life.
Yeah, bro. I'm like, damn, brother, for real.
Yeah, no, he's a good guy. I've known him since probably. I guess it's like the early '90s, something scary like that. But no, he's had a pretty amazing career.
Yeah, man. But so have you though, because you've been traversing, you know, the landscape, if you will, for 30 years.
I know.
Mean, plus, amazing, because even as a fan, you got to count those years.
Yeah, no, I mean, it does feel weird to look back at old issues, to pull out old issues and look through them. It does feel they look so primitive now. You know, they look ancient. It's really weird, you know, because some of these were done. The first issue was done. We did it on this old Amiga computer, but there was like a previous issue.
Oh my God!
There's a previous issue that we hand pasted, which I put together with spray mounds. I literally just sprayed the pages and then stuck the pages together, and then went to a photocopier. That was this thing called the Review, which predates Tripwire because that was '91. We did that, and that looks so primitive now.
Well, you know what?
It's ridiculous how primitive, but it's cool though to think about 30 years of history.
My brother, those were the tools we had. You did what you did with it, and that's what's amazing about it.
I know. I mean, it's still around, which I find amazing.
Again, because listen, people don't know. These kids are so blessed nowadays. They do not understand
it's so easy to get
our journey
to so many cool comic things. They just turn on their computer and they can go online.
Yeah.
They are lucky. Definitely.
They could make one. Just turn on their computer and make one. Program.
Exactly.
Back in the day.
You know, like now, if they have InDesign, they can put together like a PDF. They can design. I mean, I would have killed for that when I was a kid, when I was 19 or 20.
You and me both, bro.
It would have been so much easier than having to go through the whole rigmarole of going to a printer and designing it. And I used a friend. It was a friend's house. He was the one that designed it. The very first issue in 1992, which had our Lobo cover. It was so basic, but you know. But as you say, it's so easy now to do this stuff. It's fantastic.
So is there anything that Joel Meadows wants to do, a dream project? Is there any character you like to write? Is there any story you want to do with a particular team? I mean, what is the dream? Let's speak it onto the world. Let's manifest, Joel.
Okay. I always thought
dream?
It would be fun to do like a Hellblazer story, and I had a few ideas. For those a long time ago. And I did have a couple of Batman ideas as well, many moons ago when I was about 19. But I don't know, maybe they should be left in the past. I mean, I am planning to do a full graphic novel story with Holmes next year. We're going to do probably like a 2-part, like a 80-page graphic novels. And we're already talking to some people for covers. You know, Walt Simonson has said he'll do us a cover. Mark Chiarello said he'll give us something, possibly Liam Sharp. You know, we've got some really cool people lined up, so we're looking at possibly doing that next year, because I've been enjoying doing the Holmes thing. It's been fun. I mean, I've always been a huge fan of the character, but I'm not anywhere near as good a writer as Doyle was, but it has been fun because he's an older Holmes, So he's a slightly different character, but it's been fun to play with that. So I mean, yeah, I mean, if anyone's listening, kind of like a Batman or a Hellblazer story would be fun.
You're manifesting it. Let's make it happen.
If we say it, maybe it'll happen. So I would be up for that, definitely.
I'm gonna repeat this. I said this before, but
I don't know if any editors listen to your program. Hopefully,
but no, they do. But listen, Joe, because I've been listening to a lot of crazy stuff lately. So right, so people tell me life is an illusion. So then, does that mean that manifestation is magic, and that magic, bends the illusion to our will?
Well, perhaps
this is why it has power.
I guess it doesn't hurt. You never know. Maybe we can do that. Maybe
I would love to see now a character whose power is that of just words, like on that Preacher, because that's why I really appreciated Preacher. He would use his words, and people would just do.
Yeah.
Could you imagine? But could you imagine you do that for somebody that was depressed? It's like, be happy with your life, and you just make them happy their whole life. That would be so dope. Like, okay, no problem, I'll be happy. But would they really, though?
Sorry?
A question as a writer. Now I want to pick your brain. So if somebody did a story of a character where I forced someone to be happy through some type of mental telepathy, right?
Yes.
Because they were super depressed.
Okay.
So now I implanted the happiness seed in their brain.
Yes.
But would they ever truly be happy?
Well, no, because I guess they're being told that they're happy. But they're not.
Would they
genuinely
recognize
happy.
it though? Would they recognize it?
At their core, they're not really happy because they're being told, that you will be happy.
So they wouldn't recognize that I implanted the seed that makes them feel happy, even though they're not. So do you think that they'll be there wondering why they're happy?
Well, they maybe that could be like the MacGuffin for the story, is that they might realize actually I'm not really happy because this guy implanted this thing in my head to tell me, to be happy, and actually, I'm miserable. So that could be the tension or the conflict maybe for the story.
Yeah. Imagine that of a superhero. Like, I ain't happy helping people. I want to be a villain, but that you're forcing me because of my power set.
Villains can be more interesting sometimes. That's the thing, because they're flawed.
You
and they're damaged, and they make mistakes, and they do things wrong, and they can be more interesting than the irregular hero sometimes.
My brother, you said sometimes. I think majority of the time the villains are more interesting.
You're not wrong,
bro.
Yes.
I mean, I'm a villains fan. I can't help it.
Yeah, that's not. I mean, I remember, like Starman, like James Robinson's Starman. The best character in that was the Shade, and there's no question. You can't argue with that.
He's an asshole, but he's
but he was interesting.
He ain't wrong.
He was interesting, and he sometimes did like the right things for the wrong reasons, or the wrong things for the right reasons. And he was interesting because he was flawed, and that's what made him interesting, because we don't make the right choices all the time. We screw things up. And I think that's what makes him interesting.
That's the reality of being a human.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the reality. We're not all going to be Captain Americas. I don't think that even possibly exists.
Yeah, exactly.
So, brother, what we got in the future then? This next show, I know we're going to kick ass. If somebody wanted to get a booth, if someone wanted to, as a creator, partake, I mean, where do they go?
Can check out the Tripwire comiccrusaders.shop website if they wanted to grab a table, or if they wanted, they can drop us a line via that. And if they've got any questions about the show, they can feel free to to drop us a line via the website, and ask us if they've got any questions about the show.
So do you still have room for
Yeah, we've still got tables available. Yeah, so people can drop us a line.
ASAP Imagination. You hear
exactly this? But they better move. Exactly.
I better tell these guys ASAP that they need to.
And if they want to check out, the website as well, just for some regular stuff, we're running this thing called 101 Greatest Comic Artists, and we started with 101, and we're about to run our Hal Foster, our next entry. We're going to get up to number 1. It's taken us forever, but we've had people in it. We've got the last 30 are going to be some, pretty big names.
Crazy. How do you even judge that?
Well, it's tough, to be honest. It's not been easy. We've tried to. It's difficult because we put people in like Carl Barks, who obviously is a comic artist, but he's kind of more of a funny animal, Donald Duck artist. So it's hard to work out how to compare. We've got some strip artists as well in there. So we're going to have Hal Foster, and we're going to have you know, some newspaper strip guys as well. So it's not been easy. It's been tough, to be honest, but it's been kind of fun to put together.
And then obviously it's not just color, but black and white, obviously, because of the strips that, you know, it is difficult because I'm a big fan of black and white.
Oh yeah,
and for me, that's really a testament
sometimes
to an
stuff
artist.
looks amazing in black and white. Sometimes it looks incredible. So
I mean, look at anything by Sienkiewicz or
Mark Mignola's stuff in black and white looks pretty amazing.
Oh my god! Oh yeah, bro.
Or if you look at some of the Batman, if you look at like David Mazzucchelli's stuff in black and white, I mean, Jesus, that stuff's incredible.
Well, I mean, when they did the Wolverine movie, Logan Noir in black and white,
that was nice.
I thought it looked so much better than in color.
The film. Yeah, that was amazing.
Yeah. Didn't it look better? It's like I got even more in tune and fell more in love with the movie.
Yeah, no, I mean, sometimes black and white really suits.
It does. So, Joe, bro, so we got the show coming up. You know, we got books coming up.
Indeed. Another print magazine coming out in September, October. We're going to have 60 years of Thor, 60 years of Spider-Man. Whoa. We're looking at 60 years of James Bond through the movie posters. We've got
James Bond 2? 60
yeah, well, because Dr. No was 60. You know, Dr. No came out in 1962. So, you know, it's 60 years. So it's it's a huge milestone.
Whoa. I didn't, everybody's, you know what? I didn't even realize Thor 2.
And
everybody's celebrating Spidey right now.
They're two huge anniversaries. And we do this power list where we talk about people of influence in like comics and, you know, genre. And we're doing another power list, which will be out in the print mag. We had a lot of fun putting them on together. So that had people like Jimmy Palmiotti, Bill Sienkiewicz, you know, Jon Favreau, Gaiman, just a whole range of people, Robert Kirkman. So we try and update that each year. So we have fun putting that together. Yeah, so we're doing another one of those. So that's going to be the next print mag. It'll be out like September. That's in the next previews. So that's going to be called like a winter 2021 special. So people will be able to order that in the next previews, which is out in like a month's time. So
and since you mentioned Jon Favreau, did you see that today they released his Mandalorian figure?
Well, I know he's the showrunner, obviously. He's had quite a career. I mean, he's an amazing man.
They've released a Jon Favreau Mandalorian figure.
Yes.
It looks just like him. So when are we gonna get the Joel Meadows figure?
So we've got some cool people. So yeah, that's fun. So that's there's going to be the as I said, the book, which will basically launch. It will launch properly like at New York in October, and then there's the magazine, which has got all this cool stuff in there, which is going to come out kind of towards the end of September. So that's going to be really nice.
So you are just smashing it, man.
So I'm pretty busy. I've got so much stuff going on, but it's all great stuff. So I'm not going to complain.
But you're doing amazing stuff, especially across the pond for people.
Yes, exactly.
You know, I'm definitely going to let my Crusaders from the UK know that they need to partake in this, and you know,
people can get it internationally as well.
Yeah,
you know, we offer international shipping. It's not cheap. But, you know, and then the book will be available, you know, from Heavy Metal, so people will be able to get that over there from traditional bookshops and through the direct market. And I said the hardback will be available through Zoop through our crowdfunding campaign, which will launch at the very end of this month.
So, other than New York, are you going to do any other cons? Are you not going to come down to Florida so you can sign my copy?
I'd love to do some other US shows, but I don't think it's realistic for this year. But I'd love to come. I've always wanted to visit, you know, Heroes show, you know, in Charlotte. And so, you know, maybe one year. We're doing some British shows. But in terms of other US shows, it's probably just New York for this year. But we'll see. You never know. Maybe next year we might get to a couple of others. Hopefully.
Maybe listen. Once they hire you to write Constantine and all these other things, it's like, you know, they're gonna pay for you everywhere.
Exactly. Yeah. So yeah, I'd love to get to some other US shows. They're always fun. They're always a lot of fun.
Yo, Joe, you got this. You're more than me 30 years. I mean, you're doing God's work. Flowers time, because you know you're a creator on a different level. You're just a creator on a different level. You're someone that shares your passion and your love for the
I love comics. I love, you know, all the stuff related to it as well. You know, all the artists. You know, I've always been a huge fan and admirer of people who've managed to create some of my favorite stories. So, you know.
Well, thank you for doing that. It shows. Again, I gotta check out the other book. I've had this experience.
Yes,
and I could tell from your experience.
So if you have a problem tracking it down, drop me a line, and I have a few copies of it in hardback. So we could maybe we can sort something out, maybe.
No. Listen, bro. You just tell me how much I gotta pay.
Okay, well I can ship it to you direct if you want.
Bro, yeah, I'm moving too, so I would love to have something for my new
Cool. It's a
studio
very
to put
meaty
in the
book. It's got a
background.
red, it's got a ribbon as well. It's an intro by Del
Yeah, you
Toro.
put a ribbon. He
there's
put
a
a
red
ribbon,
ribbon
folks.
in the original
I
studio
love
book,
it.
and it's got a dust jacket. It's a really nice book. In hardback, it really does look. It still looks really nice.
Listen, this is nice, but you give me a book with a dust jacket and a ribbon, I'm in love. I mean,
well, yeah. I mean, this is a book. I know this is a book you really appreciate.
Yeah, it looks sexy too. I call that.
Oh, it does.
It's shelf porn.
You can't beat it. Oh yeah, it is. I got so much of the stuff as you saw. I love it.
You are, Joel. You know, you are the second biggest shelf pornographer I know now. Because
okay, cool. Well, I'm pleased. We have a competition now to see who can get more stuff.
Oh, bro, if you were to see my homie's room, shout out to Big Hans. His basement looks like a Barnes of Noble because he's even had to put shelves in the middle of the floor.
Seriously,
so it's like you're shopping, and then that's just shelves for his omnibuses, not counting the hundreds of long boxes he has in the back room.
Oh, I think he probably beats me. But
no, that's what I'm saying. He has murdered, I think, most people.
Yes,
when it comes to the size of a collection, because I'm like, I told him like this, brother. Whenever you move, whatever day it is, before you even dial my number, I want you to know my back hurts that day.
That's brilliant. That's very funny. But I mean, I've got like a load of artist editions in my other room, so I've got them vertically. So I've got things like the Manhunter one, and I've got the Tarzan, and I think I've got the Enemy Ace. I've got I've got quite a few of those.
Yeah, bro. I don't need you breaking
just stunning.
My back
They're
either.
really beautiful books.
I don't need you breaking my back either, lifting up those boxes.
Yeah, no. That's the downside to all this heavy paper. Is, as you say, your back does, after a number of years, you destroy your back.
Yeah, but you want to give up. You're like, okay, you know what? I just got to keep what I love.
And I know. I'm bad. Finally. I'm a very bad hoarder in terms of keeping things. I should be a little bit more strict, but I'm really bad.
Yeah. We're men. We like to keep our things.
Yeah, I know. You're not wrong,
bro. Even when it comes to cables, it's like, bro, if I find the fucking VCR.
Yeah, I know.
You're gonna want these cables.
I've got some old cables I should get rid of as well.
No, don't do it.
It's completely useless. They don't connect to anything anymore.
Yes, they do. Trust you, me, bro. Because I like to find old stuff. I still have a VCR. I still have a DVD. I still got tapes. What I'm looking for now, though, is my audio cassette recorder to digital.
I had a few of those. I think they're long gone, sadly, but I do have a few of those. No,
they do have some converters though that it'll play the tape and convert
I'm sure
that's what I want, because I have such amazing mixtapes from the 80s and 90s.
Wow,
you know what I mean? Still,
and you got some cool stuff on there, I'm sure.
Oh my god, gems! Yo, my god! You see, but this guy right here, here. If we ever hang out, bro, it was gonna be very dangerous. Tripwire, Comic Crusaders hanging out. We're having a party, kiddo.
Yeah. No, it sounds like a plan.
So let's see if that could happen to go to New York, and if
you come to New York, we'll have to meet up.
If I tell you, if I go to New York, it's not have to. We will meet up, and we go into a pub on after party.
Okay, yeah.
And we're gonna get lit, and we're gonna do drunk interviews with everybody. All right?
Yeah. No, it sounds like a plan.
Yeah, but you're an amazing guest. Again, thank you for what you do, especially from the journalistic side. Sharing those stories, sharing your passion.
Yeah, no, I love it. I really enjoy it.
It rocks. You inspire others, man. You inspire me. You inspire me. So thank you. Thank you for doing what you do. So, folks,
it's my pleasure. Seriously, I'm pleased. It's great. Yeah. I've still got the passion for this thing, even after doing it for like 30 years.
Yeah, and that's great, man. Because you know what? This is the fun thing. So long as you stay away from the negativity and don't fuck around with that, you're gonna be so happy in this culture. So if you want to be happy, check out. This is the only other website I'm going to endorse that does pop culture stuff, because this man is amazing.
Thank you. So it's very, very kind. We try and do things properly. We do try and do it. We have like proper journalism. That's important.
It is, and you're doing it great. You're doing a great job. So folks, this is where you go. I want you to go to tripwiremagazine.co.uk. Check it out. You will not be disappointed. And then if if you want to do a con out there, you got to check out Tripwire comiccrusaders.shop.
Exactly, that's it.
And you're going to be so happy when you're like, oh my God, here I am in the UK. I'm about to hit the most fire con that homie has legends going to.
Yeah, we've got a pretty cool lineup.
Yeah, pretty cool. I think it's pretty amazing, actually.
Yes.
I'm jealous. You know, let me tell you, I have not seen a small show with that heavy, heavy hitter A-list.
No.
You got A-list. You got A-list, bro.
Yeah, but we try to make sure it's special.
You got royalty in comics, so good for you.
Yes.
Folks, check it out. ASAP Imagination. Paul, you got to jump on this con. I'm going to hit you up after the show. I'm going to hook you up with Joel because you guys got to talk. And we need you at that show too, because he's the next big thing out of the UK, Ireland, for real. So, yes. Folks, you see this man, again, show him the love. You saw the websites. He's awesome.
And I'm on Twitter if people want to follow Joel Meadows 1.
Oh, Joel Meadows.
At Joel Meadows 1. If they want to go to Twitter,
there you go.
Then they're welcome to to follow me to see what kind of stuff I put up.
Sharing his comic madness, his fandom, and be like, Joe, you're crazy. I love it too. And there we go. That's what it is. So with that, Joe, thank you so much for hanging out with me today.
Thank you. Thanks for
talking shop.
It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, I know. It's been a long time in the making.
It has been a few months.
I'm happy that everybody's
to happen.
Yeah, we got it to happen, and I'm happy that everyone is okay. That because of delays, that's important.
Yeah,
so I'm happy that they're okay and how.
Yeah, no, everything's good.
Love. Yeah, that's the most important thing. So, folks, besides, again, tripwirecomiccons.com, tripwiremagazine.co.uk. Check them out, and not just them, of course. Check out my people over at comiccrusaders.com. Check out my extended family, undercovercapes.com. Check out all the shows, the vidcast, the podcast. We do it all, folks.
Yeah, cool.
Just like Big Joe.
You do some great work. So,
well, we're trying to, man, to show the love and be positive, a positive force in the industry because, who needs negativity? Let's show the love.
I know. We try and stay positive, obviously, about stuff.
Absolutely, man. Well, you're tripping with being Crusaders. I love it. Yeah. And with that, it's Almega with the mighty Joel Meadows.
Hasta la próxima. It's been my pleasure. Thank you.
Take care. It's been my honor. Wepa, baby. Hasta la próxima. Thank you for listening to the Comic Crusaders podcast. If you like the content, please subscribe and turn on notifications. Also, please visit comiccrusaders.com and our extended podcast family over at undercovercapes.com. And also, make sure to download the Comic Crusaders app on the Google Play Store today.